The Reds are on Wearside for match day 26 of this Premier League campaign. Can they take advantage of both Manchester United and Chelsea dropping points last night to help put Sunday's frustration behind them? Dominic Szoboszlai's suspension and the injury situation means there's a start at right back for Wataru Endo as one of two changes by Arne Slot to the side that took on Man City. Tonight's hosts are unbeaten at the Stadium of Light this season, and it is fair to say they're looking good to beat the drop. They are 12 points above the relegation zone as it stands. We'll have live audio commentary of Sunderland versus Liverpool from 8:15. Yeah, welcome along to Matchday Live. The thoughts of both Phil Thompson and Gary Gillespie on the way very shortly. But first, let's get the full team news from our man in the North East tonight, Peter McDowell.
Yeah, and it will delight you to know, Mark, that the rain has been coming in sideways here all through today. There's been no demand for beach balls in this part of the world, which were once famous, of course, for a Liverpool game that I'm sure we'll get to mention before we're out tonight. And the headline being that there are two changes to that Liverpool team that took on Manchester City. One of them enforced, as you mentioned, no Dominic Szoboszlai, who's had a hand in 8 goals in his last 11 games. So that enforced change might surprise you that Endo comes in at right back. There's also a like-for-like change at left-back for Liverpool as well, in that Andrew Robertson replaces Milos Kerkez. And some good news, it's been well overdue that Joe Gomez joins this squad for the Reds tonight. So let's confirm that team in full for you then. And it's Alisson Becker in goal. He makes his Premier League appearance 250 for Liverpool tonight. 101 clean sheets in that time. Endo, as mentioned, only one Premier League start last season in his 20 overall. Last start in the Premier League was in May after the league was secured. One of 6 right-backs that Liverpool have utilised this season. Virgil van Dijk more minutes than anyone this season. Konate in there as well. There's been much focus on the back four, hasn't they? Conceded 6 goals from the 90th minute in the Premier League onwards. It's cost Liverpool 8 points. They will have to tighten up here tonight, of course. And then it's Florian Wirtz, scored against them with the aid of a deflection in the reverse fixture in December. Liverpool's player of the month. And then it goes McAllister, Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike with his 15 goals already. Robertson and Gravenberch complete the 11. And then, as mentioned before, Joe Gomez, who's been missing since the defeat at Bournemouth, back in the squad again. Curtis Jones amongst the substitutes as well. Kerkez, and then it's Mamardashvili, Chiesa, Leone, Ramsey, Kieran Morrison and Rio Ngamoa. In the company, a soggy Stadium of Light tonight of Jan Molby, who's been here once before. You've experienced the noise. It's going to be a really tough environment for the Reds tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's more or less a club rebuilt. When you think back Sunderland when they were in League One and in the Championship, there was a lot of unhappy people here, but that's no longer the case. As I said before, they've almost rebuilt the club. There's a great feeling, and I was here for the derby against Newcastle when they won 1-0, and the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable. It'll be the same again tonight. You know, we'll be looking at this, and this is a great opportunity to potentially beat another one of the big boys in the Premier League.
Where the team is concerned, it was either one or the other at right back. Why has he gone with Endo as opposed to Curtis Jones, do you think?
I think first and foremost it's an away game, and there'll be some defending. You expect your fullbacks having to do some defending, so he's gone with 2 experienced international players in Robertson and Endo. Endo not ideal as a right back, but I think he feels that that's probably the best option to go with. Plus also it leaves you Curtis if you need somebody to come on for one of the midfield players. It's a gamble, but as a manager you have to make decisions and stand by them.
And the manager has been very forthright, hasn't he, in terms of the opportunities that Liverpool have left. He doesn't think there's many. What was an opportunity was what happened last night in the other results. They almost have to produce the form of champions now to make nights like last night count.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the challenge, and I think they're well aware of that. And we're kind of waiting for that moment, aren't we? That moment where Liverpool win 1 or 2 or 3 games and you go, now I think we're capable of going on that run. And I have to be totally honest, at no stage really during the season have I felt this is the moment. Yeah. But there's still time for that moment to come, and there's no better place to start than here, simply because of the impressive home form so far.
One of the problems that they've had, Liverpool, is that they've not done well enough against the newly promoted teams, and as part of that, when you look at the fixtures that they have left, that is another trend that needs to reverse quickly.
Yeah, which is quite incredible, isn't it? You know, a club of the stature of Liverpool, normally what we do with the newly promoted team is beat them home and away. That hasn't been the case this season. That's been really disappointing. We've had trouble already with Sunderland when they came to Anfield and set up with a low block and defended really well. And again, they're not necessarily a possession-based team, Sunderland, but there will be some defending to do. They will put you under pressure. So with the weather and everything else, it's a tough night.
They're much improved, and you alluded to that right at the very start of this, but only 1 win in 11 attempts in the Premier League against Liverpool. Let's put all of this in context, and it's mentioned quite a few times in the manager's programme notes tonight. You know, Liverpool are a force, and Sunderland need to feel that tonight. They need to feel that frustration.
Absolutely, and Liverpool have better better players than Sunderland. We are a far better team than Sunderland. That doesn't always reflect in the scoreline, but you have to assume that even with the run that we're on and the disappointing moments we've had in the season, there'll still be confidence in that dressing room thinking, we can do this, look at their team compared to our teams, we should be okay. So, yeah, who knows? I mean, I think because of the run we're in, having at the moment with only a couple of wins in 2026, we're all feeling a little bit, but we should never forget that we get it right on the night, there's no doubt we win this game.
The manager also mentioned when you watch him in the round table with Billy Hogan and Richard Hughes recently, dead interesting, where he speaks about his obsession almost is about how do I inject more energy into a team, and when you look at how much he's been stretched of late, he doesn't want to go down that road of talking about how much bad luck they've had this year. That can possess a team sometimes, can't they, if they look at the amount of injuries, how fine the lines have been at times between getting beat and getting a result.
But it can sometimes be very difficult to get away from that, isn't it? Because they are things that you can't deny. You know, we found it difficult because of injuries, and there has been some decisions and some things that's gone against us. So it can be very difficult as a manager to try and get away from those lines, but he needs to, yeah. And I'm absolutely convinced that leading up to this game, he won't be concentrating on anything that's gone on in the past. It'll be about this game and what we can do here tonight, and hopefully we come out with a positive attitude. It's a real challenge tonight to get the players out in a positive attitude to believe that they can do this tonight, simply because of the conditions.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for us as well, as I'm sure you can see. Last visit here was in 2017. Liverpool led twice on the night last time they were here, but Jermaine Defoe with 2 penalties levelled things up, and the noise was incredible that night. You imagine it's going to be something similar here a little bit later on.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll be back with the boys very shortly to get a full rundown of the Sunderland side tonight. I can tell you that the hosts have made just one change to the start line. But first start for Deadline Day edition, Angulo. He is in place of Talby. Good evening to Phil Thompson and Gary Gillespie. Boys, good to have you in the studio with us for this one. Well, we look at the league table, kind of underlines the position we're into now. Wins are essential. 6 and 5 points to make up on Manchester United and Chelsea respectively. Brentford hot on our heels as well, alongside us on the same points, just 1 place behind. They play tomorrow against Arsenal. We should have said it post-match of the weekend, Gary. It's putting together a run of wins. Wins are what in it. How we play is kind of relevant. Win matches. Yeah,
and what that table doesn't show you is Sunderland are on 36 points. So a win against Liverpool today or tonight puts us level with, or puts them level with us. So it's a big game. And as the guys made reference to, it's not a very pleasant night up there in Sunderland. So you've got to play against the opposition, and you've got to handle the conditions as well. But it's a challenge. It's been a challenge all season, to be quite honest with you. There hasn't been too many games, other than maybe the Newcastle game that we saw like a couple of weeks ago, that we really have dominated and played to probably our capabilities. And if you do that, play to your capabilities, we can see what we can achieve and what results we can get. But I think it's a difficult place to go. You just need to look at their results, unbeaten here all season. So that would suggest that they're doing something right, and they've had a fantastic season all round, really, when you think of they're coming up from the Championship last season and finding themselves in the position that they find themselves. It's a dream come true for them.
The manager is big on the fact that he wants to play good football. The players want to play good football. But how do you get your sort of head ready for the fact that tonight probably isn't about that? It's about battling to win a football match, whatever way you can. How do you kind of get yourself ready for that different kind of challenge?
It's attitude, and that's all. You're going out there, and we're all talking here. We're listening to Jan and to Pete talking about. It sounds like a European game, doesn't it? The way Pete's sort of building it all up, what the noise is going to be like. We've got a lot of experienced players out there. Surely we should be ready for this. But the big thing is your attitude. Look after yourself. Look after yourself as a defence, as a midfielder, as an attack. We have to be in this game. We have to make sure we compete. It's little Sunderland, but they are proving that they're a thorn in everybody's side, and they can make it hard. They're an aggressive bunch. They can play at times, and they play to the strengths. There's nothing wrong with that. So it shouldn't surprise us at all about what is going to come. It'll be corner kicks, free kicks. Thing that I seen, and it was only Everton that I seen, which 10 yards in their half, out wide, goalkeeper took the free kicks and diagonal ball, and the centre-backs all went up. And you're thinking, they've got to play 90 minutes like this. So they're all effort. They realise what they're good at. And I think they will put us under pressure in that way. Long throws, corner kicks, free kicks, everything diagonals into the box.
Yeah, and they're going to put us under pressure probably in all ways. There'll be that aggression, there'll be that way they'll go about it in terms of the setup that Thomas has made. But there's real energy around the stadium at the moment because they've had a good start to the season, had some really good results on their own patch as well. So it's all the kind of thing, all the kind of combination of things that set up for a bad night for Liverpool, given the difficult position we find ourselves in. As a player, how do you sort of steel yourself for that? Because people on the outside are sort of rubbing their hands and saying, well, Liverpool are going to come unstuck here.
Well, I think there's a bit of resurgence about the whole of the North East, isn't there? Like with Middlesbrough doing exceptionally well in the Championship. Obviously, Newcastle have been established themselves in the Premier League, and obviously with like Sunderland doing so well in the first season back. I think the one thing that was always drummed into us from Kenny as a manager was attitude, commitment and effort. And if you show that, I think the guys have made reference, or Jan made reference to the fact that we have better players in our team than Sunderland do, on paper. But you've got to have that attitude, you've got to have that commitment, you've got to show that desire to get the result. And if you do that, then hopefully your skill and your ability shines through. But no game in the Premier League this season has been easy for Liverpool, and I don't think it will be easy again tonight.
And I think you look at it, Mark, you know what's going to come. You know what's going to happen. You can read these games. It is going to be so aggressive, so passionate. And that's just the crowd. And it's...
That's just Tomo.
You know what's...
I don't think Tomo's passionate he's ever in doubt with things.
You know what's going to come. So you have to be ready for that. And if you do have to have your backs to the wall for 10 minutes, and it's getting the crowd going and they're having shots from 40 yards, it's to get the crowd. You know all that. We're experienced footballers, and you have to play through that. One big thing that we learned from it was you make sure that after 20 minutes it's still 0-0. Then it becomes quite even as footballers and everything. It starts to slow down on the pitch. They might still be going in the crowds at 0-0, but we make sure, as Jan said, we are better players, and that will shine through. But you've got to commit yourself all the time. There's no give-me's in tackles and things like that. You make sure you win that first challenge.
I think when you look at I think you go back to September, like the first time we scored a goal in the first 30 minutes or so. So we haven't started games well. And then you listen to the start that I think is it 6 games or six goals or 8 games. We've lost 8 points, dropped
over 90 minutes.
6 goals scored after the 90 minutes. So it's a bad combination when you think about it. We're not scoring early and we're conceding late on. So whether that's got something to do with the attitude and the effort and the commitment, I'm not 100% sure, because when you look through the squad and go individually through the players, they're bursting with ability and skill and technique, and I don't think there's ever going to be a doubt about that. But it's putting all these combinations together to get results again, like a rainy old night up at Sunderland.
We'll dig into those late goals conceded a little bit later on in the programme. In terms of the decisions made tonight, there weren't many things the manager could do tonight. All eyes are on who played at full-back. Wataru's got the nod. Do you think in part of that is the fact he played till 80-odd minutes there against Carabao a couple of weeks ago, and it's maybe showing the manager that he is more of an option there, perhaps?
His commitment has never been questioned. You know what you're going about. I've loved Endo. I think he's just, you know what you're going to get from him. But at right back, I'm thinking, is this going to be the sort of right position? He will put himself into the tackles, he will do great. You're just thinking of pace at the time and whether he might get caught out. I'm surprised and wonder why not Curtis. I did think once Dominic was suspended, it would be Curtis. Joe's fit, and I understand the Joe thing in not starting. But he might come on. Or if things are not going quite our way, you might see Curtis at right back. Can't understand why we didn't go with Curtis straight away and then bring Joe on if we're in a good position.
I'm interested to see what the manager says post-match about his selection choices for today. Maybe he's got one eye on the cup game against Brighton the weekend, where he looks to try and see what he can change for that. Who knows? OK, let's cross live again over to the Stadium of Light now and rejoin Peter McDowell, who can bring us more detail on the Sunderland starting lineup. Pete.
Yeah, and just listening to you guys talk in the studio there, it's been some story, hasn't it, here? 3 different owners, 10 different managers since Liverpool were last here 8 years ago, in the small matter of a Netflix documentary. We were in the tunnel just before. The press office have had to completely move because the ceiling has come in, so they're prepared for the big boys, but sometimes those preparations just go out the window. But they are prepared for Liverpool here tonight. Make one alteration to that 11 that was last time out, and that comes in the front 3, so let's confirm that team for you then. Robin Roofs as ever in goal, the only man to start every game in the Premier League for them. The roof is on fire, they sing here to him, and at £9 million he's certainly been a snip. He's been so often the key man for them this year. Then it's Mukiele, the former teammate of Ibrahima Konate and Dom Szoboszlai at RB Leipzig at one side, full-back Ronaldo the other side, and then Dan Ballard. What a signing he's been for them, the former Arsenal youngster. Semi-final playoff goal that got them to Wembley, and Alderete, the other centre-back. Then it's Siddiqui and Endo Lefay in front of them. Try Hume, who will captain the Sunderland team here tonight. Diarra and Nilson Angulo, who comes into the team as that one change. And then Brian Brobby, 3 in his last 7. The highlight so far is being his winner against Arsenal here in November. Maybe lucky not to get sent off himself for a tackle on Zubamendi at the weekend. He's quick, aggressive, and a real handful that Liverpool will have to be ready for here tonight. Jan Molby is still here. Was here, as we mentioned there, Jan, before Newcastle against Sunderland last time out. It's a huge test. They've proved a huge test for all of the big teams here this year.
You know, absolutely. I mean, the top 3 in the Premier League have been here already. Arsenal, Manchester City and Aston Villa. They've all failed to win. As I said before, they're not a possession-based team. Sunderland, they don't score an awful lot of goals, but they are well organised and they're based around a very strong central base with the goalkeeper, 2 centre-half, and normally Granit Xhaka, who's not available tonight through injury. But those 4 have been the key to their success so far. I really like the way that they defend. They defend deep. There's not a lot of room between the centre-halves and the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper is very calm, doesn't make unnecessarily rash decisions. So, yeah, they are set up well. And, of course, then counter-attacking and set pieces.
The goalkeeper has been key, hasn't he? Almost that, you know, their obsession is about defending, but if you do get through, we've got this big fella in goal that more often than not will save the one-on-ones.
Yeah, he's been terrific. I saw him during the summer for the under-23s European Championship, and I thought, is he going to be physically strong enough for the Premier League? But he's really surprised me. He looks a good goalkeeper. He's a calm goalkeeper, tries to catch as many things as he can, good with his feet. He's been a real surprise this season.
No surprise that their manager, he's got a doctorate in physiology, and that's physically how they're set up, aren't they? You know, they are a physically really intimidating, aggressive, quick team.
Yeah, they are. And in fairness, when the manager came in, many people said, who is he? But he's done a super job here, and they absolutely love him. And every time they go out, every time they cross that white line, whether it's home or away, they give 100%. And more or less than in most games, maybe not so much at the weekend against Arsenal when they lost 3-0, but generally they're in most games. They're competitive, you know, and they play to the final whistle.
You mentioned that game against Arsenal. They were in that even at kind of 2-0, weren't they? They still had an opportunity to be back in the game. That's kind of told the story of even when they finished up on the wrong end of scorelines.
Yeah, and I think they have no fear, you know. Obviously their away record is not as impressive as their home record, but still they play without fear and they play to their strength. You know, and that their strength is counter-attacking and set pieces, being physically strong, intimidate the opposition. Obviously the fans will play a big part of that here tonight.
What about the recruitment when you look at that as well? I mean, you think of any team that brings in 15 players, it happens an awful lot down the lower end of the football echelons, but to do that in the Premier League and have the success they've had is almost unheard of.
Yeah, I know, and we had Forest doing it a couple of years ago, buying an awful lot of players, but they didn't have the same instant success with it. It took a while before all the players that they brought, they found the good ones, but here they brought in the 15 players, and almost from the word go, they looked like a Premier League team. You know, I thought it was a major coup to be able to bring Granit Xhaka back to the Premier League. That was obviously a catalyst, isn't it? But everybody else, and many of them, we have to be honest, when they came, we went, never heard of him, but they've all done well.
They managed to sign the Swiss captain, someone who'd been part of success at Leverkusen. And the manager speaks about him, doesn't he? He's almost done all of the policing off the pitch that he's needed to do. Got them used to the Premier League. He takes no prisoners on the pitch as well as off it. That has been a major coup for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They needed somebody like him, didn't he? You know, just calmness in the middle of the field, but also his experience with Arsenal, his experience in Germany. And as I said before, I couldn't quite believe it when they managed to get him back here to the Premier League. But I guess if you don't ask, you're never going to get, are you? So, yeah, that really kick-started everything. I think from that moment, I think most people go, OK, these guys are serious, these guys might just have a chance of surviving.
And this stadium as well, and we've been here over the years throughout all of the different stories that Sunderland have had to tell since building this new stadium. Again, the manager makes no secret of it. They use this power inside the stadium. They've built a story here that they're still in the very infancy of, really.
Yeah, and we've been here often enough where there's been some kind of unrest. But that's no longer the case. They all sing from the same hymn sheet. They're all rowing in the same direction, isn't it? You know, and that's a very, very powerful tune, isn't it? A team that gives everything, a fan base that also gives everything in it. Hence the reason, I guess, they're still unbeaten. And I've got a feeling that it would be a massive achievement. And I think it's starting to play on their minds already, isn't it? Could we possibly go all season unbeaten here at home?
We'll wait and see. Conditions, as you can see, will make this one interesting. There's a fair bit of surface water that's gathered on here as well. No need for the sprinklers just prior to kick-off. And we'll be back very soon to talk about the brilliant home record and the struggles that Liverpool have had on the road this year.
Thank you, Gents. Horrible conditions up in the northeast. God help Jan if he puts that hood straight on. It's filled up with water while he was talking to us. OK, and more to come from the Stadium of Light throughout the course of the night here on LFC TV and on All Red Video. Time now, though, for us to leave those of you watching on social media. But you can find out details on how to sign up, if you'd like, to become a subscriber online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Still to come before kick-off, we'll hear from Arne Slots, Regis Lebris and Florian Wirtz. Jay Spearing is with Steve Hunter for audio commentary at 8:15 tonight. Then at 10:15 we'll be back with analysis and interviews from the ground. That post-match show will be available to listen to in the Reaction podcast later on tonight, and the full match replay is on from midnight. And for more on the night's key talking points, join Neil Mellor for the review show. That is at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Liverpool are at the Stadium of Light tonight for the first time in 9 years. Their last visit came in Jurgen Klopp's first full season in charge.
Here's Mane. It's a lovely ball for Sturridge. And Sturridge with his right foot. Good save by the goalkeeper. Wijnaldum. And he'll go for goal. And Minona has to save again. Milner is looking for Lovren. And Sturridge is there! Liverpool silence the Stadium of Light. Here's Ndong, and he's gone